Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SCP Paderborn Nusieben English podcast. Back for another week, another episode. I think we're on, I can't remember, the 6th or 7th episode right now of the podcast since I began it again for the second half of the season. And yeah, as usual, just like to thank you all for being here and choosing to listen. And if you do enjoy, please consider rate, review, and subscribe. Share the podcast if you would like to as well. It means a lot to me. The viewers have been crazy, to be honest, considering how kind of many I expected, and um, I'm glad a lot of people are enjoying the episodes. So yeah, today we've got a review of the game on Saturday afternoon, and we've also got a preview of the next match against Münster. As I mentioned last week, I wasn't expecting to get the podcast out this early, but I've managed to do it, so that's successful. Because Munster game is on Friday, so I was hoping to get this podcast out on Tuesday to give kind of more people time to listen, having the sort of 3-day gap of very much as possible. With that, the first part of the podcast, as usual, just discussing the Ulm game, and the second half of the podcast, we'll get to the Munster game. So, yeah, let's begin then with the Ulm review. Injury to discuss, Luis Engeln's kind of knee issue again, kind of being a problem for him. Had a diagnosis, but kind of Lucas Wozniak said didn't find anything new with it, and hopefully he'll be back soon, because we do still have quite a lot of games before the next international break, which is in March. So there's still kind of a long period of time where you're not going to have a week or 2 weeks for players to come back, due to the international breaks. So that's something. And then Sven Michel was unavailable for today's game. Saturday's game against Ulm because of 5 yellow cards, which he got the 5th yellow card against Greuther Fürth. So there was no Sven for today's game, but he'll be back against Münster. Yeah, so the starting 11 for Paderborn, Markus Schubert was in goal for at least the next 3 games, as obviously Manuel Riemann was given a 3-match suspension after his red card against Greuther Fürth. So Schubert was in between the sticks for us. The back 3 was Hofmeier, Goetze, and Brockelmann. I'll get onto Brockelmann during the review of the game. The next 4 in front of them were Obermeier, Melem. Scheller was in midfield for us for at least until Brackelmann went off, and then Aranzenta. And then the front 3 was Casper Tejo. Grimaldi got a start after his good performance against Fürth, and then Bill Beer was the last player on the pitch. On the bench for Paderborn, Schultz was on the bench because obviously we need another goalkeeper, because Schubert was on the bench for Riemann last week, so we have to get another goalkeeper in there. So Schultz was the guy. Koda, Castaneda, Hansen, Klaas, Luca Hermann, and Ilias Anza was on the bench. So kind of a smaller bench for Paderborn than usual. Only 7 players. You can have 9, I think. So yeah, a smaller bench than usual for Paderborn. But it was also worth saying that the under-21s did play at pretty much the same time on the Saturday, so we couldn't have any under-21 players kind of rounding out the bench, if you know what I mean. So we had to have a kind of short bench for today's for Saturday's game. I keep saying today. I'm not even recording on the day of the game, by the way. I'm recording on the Monday, so I don't know why I keep saying today. Yes, let's kind of discuss throughout the game then. Kind of my thoughts on the starting 11. I didn't expect anything different, really. Grimaldi deserved the start. Obviously, Kwasniok going with Scheller in midfield again, kind of not having the traditional 6 is what he's been doing since the last few weeks. So that wasn't a shock to me, and I think obviously Schubert was the guy who wasn't going to put anyone else in a goalkeeper. And it was good to see Felix Goetze back, of course, obviously after his suspension against Fürth. So yeah, the game was tough. A kind of overview of the game before I get into the kind of specific moments, and we discussed that. But look, it's a 2-0 victory for Paderborn at the end of the day. Obviously, I would have liked to see us, kind of play better, especially, when we get to discussing the red card kind of on its own. And I'll kind of discuss how, we weren't getting anywhere without the red card, which I think is a fair conclusion to say as well. I thought the first half was very. It wasn't a great game. Obviously, a stadium like Ulm with a team that they very physical team, but they have the footballing quality now. They've got a lot of good football players in the squad, which mentioned in the preview that it wasn't going to be an easy game. They don't give up many chances. They don't give up many goals in general. So there's always going to be that sort of game where defensive solidarity was going to be the key thing for both teams, and it was that. I think both teams were very defensively solid. I think I was a bit disappointed with how Paderborn were kind of giving Ulm a little bit of respect in the first half. I thought, the statistics say that Ulm had 60% possession. I mentioned how low possession they have in the preview. They're like one of the lowest average possession teams, in the Zweite Bundesliga. So I was just a bit disappointed there with the 60%. That we should have been getting on the ball more and controlling the game in better ways than we did, which we clearly weren't, because we had less than 100 passes in the first half compared to Ulm's 190. Our pass accuracy was down at 68% in the first half. I thought we were quite poor, to be honest, in the first half. But look, as I mentioned, it was a tough kind of it was a tough atmosphere. It was a tough conditions. The pitch wasn't great. So there's that. But look, we got to half time 0-0. I'll go through the specifics in a little bit, but I'll kind of do the quick overview here. We got to half time 0-0, and obviously one of the keys of the game for us, because we've not been doing it often enough this season, is not conceding the first goal. Try and get that first goal as because we've been chasing games a lot. Don't have the specific number in front of me, but it feels like most weeks we concede the first goal and you have to chase and you have to show resilience, which is all good and all great. But come on, let's finally get that first goal, which we did. Obviously, many reasons to that, which we'll get to. But it was it took 80 minutes for us to score. Look, they had a red card for 30 minutes before we put the ball in the back of the net. So, but we finished it off at the end, and at the end of the day, when you win 2-0 away from home against a team that's a physical side and tough to beat, and at the end of the day, when you get a clean sheet and you win away from home, you look at the 3 points and you say, well, fantastic result, and that's all that kind of matters. And we're still in the conversation, right? We're sixth now in the table. We're 4 points off Köln in at the top of the table, which isn't a huge gap, especially when you've got how many games left? Got 13 games left, 12 games left, something like that. So, still a lot of football to be played for us, but very, very pleased with the 3 points. I think we can improve. I think we can get better. The performances can get better, and I think the levels can get better as well. And I think they'll have to get better as we kind of progress towards the more difficult part of the schedule. And in terms of more difficult, no disrespect to Ulm, as I mentioned, they're a very physical side and tough to break down and all that stuff. But I mean, tough as in, a winger one-on-one who is a very, very good winger versus a lot of Ulm's players are obviously come from the Dritte Liga or, not particularly, that good in terms of footballing ability. And when you start playing the best players in the division and things like that, you have to improve your levels of game as a team, which Paderborn weren't there on Saturday for large periods of the game. And Lucas Kozak did mention that. But in both phases, really, 11 versus 11 and 10 versus 11, we struggled for periods of it and couldn't really give momentum. But look, 2-0 and good result. So let's get into some of the specifics. Ulm had the first chance of the game, really, on the first 6 minutes. Kradenmacher, good chance, kind of just got it wide right. And if Ulm scored that first goal after 6 minutes, it would have been very tough for us to come back. I mean, obviously, we have a lot of time left, but it was critical that they didn't score first. I think in this game. 10 minutes after, we had a decent chance. Aaron Zentau with a cross. Bill Biar was kind of on his own in the penalty area. He hit it on the volley. He had more time than he actually knew, and he missed quite badly. Again, these are chances you have to score in the games against good teams. You're not going to have them very often. So I thought that was disappointing that we didn't even get it on target from there. Another 10 minutes after, on 26 minutes, Marvin Melham had a good opportunity. It was a good effort from about 21, 22 metres or so. It was quite far out, but it was a good save from the goalkeeper for Ulm. And then I didn't write anything else down. It was very much, that. There were 9 shots in the first half, which you think, that's quite a decent amount of shots for a first half in a game. But look, the XG was like 0.7 combined between the two teams, and a lot of that was Bill Beer's chance. We had 0.5 XG in the first half to their 0.2. We had the one big chance, which was Bill Bier's as well. Both teams had 2 shots on target in the first half, but yeah, it really didn't feel like it. It was very, topsy-turvy game. I mean, in terms of fouls, we had 20 fouls in the whole game. I mean, in the first half, we had 8. We're not a team that fouls that often, really. So I thought that was interesting as something to pick out. But yeah, it wasn't a great first half, to be honest. It was a lot of fouls, a lot of kind of stop-start. There wasn't much momentum for both teams. It wasn't back to forth sort of game. It wasn't end to end. It was just it wasn't great. But the second half kind of began the same as the first. I don't even want to go to a break because I think we could just keep going because it was very similar. It was it was very similar. Calvin Brackerman got injured on 48 minutes. He was forced off the pitch, unfortunately. Santiago Castaneda replaced him, which meant that Scheller went back into the defence. So we had a back three of Scheller, Hoffmeier, and Goetz in the middle of it. Brackerman, we're not too sure on the diagnosis there. There may be some more information as we kind of progress into the Münster press conference, but obviously as I record before that, I won't be able to discuss that. But you can find out all the information on my social media, which I will always post that sort of stuff. So you can follow me on that. But yeah, Brackerman, tough. Just feels like we're having a lot of difficult injury luck at the moment, and kind of like different guys going down in key positions. But then 2 minutes after, we have a red card for Ulm. It was Dennis Dressel. Kind of from an objective point of view, I thought it was one of those where it could have been given a yellow card and kind of move on. It was kind of high to the ankle, so that they always seem to have more sort of they kind of seem to be more kind of difficult on those ones. Difficult to kind of, it is obviously referee's decision, but the referees seem to be more kind of more looking towards the red cards in those situations, which as a kind of whole policy and kind of thinking about it, I don't think it was bad enough to be a red card. I thought Mellon was fine in the end. I think it was an unnecessary red. I thought it could have definitely been a yellow, and I think if it was us receiving that red card, I think we would be disappointed. But at the end of the day, I think it was obviously a big break for Paderborn. We've had 4 red cards this season ourselves, and to finally have a red card kind of go for you was a big thing, and especially with 40 minutes left in the first half, in the second half. Sorry, we had a lot of time to have the man advantage, and yeah, I suppose you could say it's about time we had a bit of luck in that case. But I thought definitely it could have been a yellow card on another day. But yeah, it was a red card. 52 minutes, Rafael Obermeier had a yellow card. First chance with the man advantage was 5 minutes after the red card on 55 minutes. It was Marcel Hoffmeier. It was actually from a corner, and Zenta good ball in. And Orbig made a good save for Ulm. 60 minutes, Bilbia with a yellow card. And then the next 10 minutes after that, really, from 60 to 70 minutes, I just wrote down just lots of fouls, just lots of unnecessary fouls, a lot of injured Ulm players. We were giving them opportunities to just sit there for a minute and gather themselves and break up the game and not let us get in any momentum and all this and all that. It was good management from Ulm, but there was some unnecessary fouls from us, and I thought we were we weren't disciplined enough in the 60 to 70th minute. And I thought it was a key phase of the game. It was. If you're Ulm, you're looking at it probably in 10-minute periods, right? Can you get through the next 10 minutes? You have 40 minutes with a red card, okay? Get through 10 minutes. They did that. Onto 60 minutes. Get through the next 10 minutes. Okay, you're onto 70 minutes now. You're halfway through. You're halfway through your 40 minutes of red card. Like that, and we created one chance, pretty much. Hoffmeyer chance, which I wrote down. We didn't do anything else. Now, at the end of the day, look, we won the game, and we'll get to the goals and positives, but I thought we were poor in the first 20 minutes of the man advantage. I thought it didn't look like we were having an extra player on the pitch. We couldn't get into any momentum, and when we were losing the ball easily and fouling, and I thought it was undisciplined. I really did. I thought it was poor. But we changed it up after that. Elias Anza was on for Philip Bilbia on 71 minutes. 75 minutes, Marvin Mellem had a yellow card. But then my next note was the first goal for Paderborn on 81 minutes. And it was Marvin Mellem's first goal for Paderborn since joining from Hull in the January window. It was a good cross from, well, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was actually a good cross. It was kind of a cross that was a bit too far from Aaron Zentite. It went to Obermeier on the other side of the penalty area, and he headed it back, and Mellem was there free from 5 yards out, and he just nodded it in. It was just one of those where we were just kind of trying anything at that point, and we were going more direct, and that was working a lot better than whatever we were trying before. But yeah, that was the first goal. There isn't much else to it. It was just kind of, we were trying anything, and we headed it back, and luckily Mellem was unmarked, and we got that first goal. We made another change kind of to shore up the 3 points. Sebastian Klaas finally returned. Casper Tejo was off the pitch. It was Klaas's first game since matchday 15, which was against Schalke. And it was good to see him back, and hopefully he'll be a permanent stay in the kind of team, or the, what is it, but 20 players, 20 man squad. At least he'll be on the bench for now, and hopefully he won't have any more setbacks for that. Ulm had a few kind of free kicks and stuff like that, where we were just fouling. Had a few free kicks, but overall we finished the game off with a final punch in the 97th minute. Adriano Grimaldi got the goal, but it was very much Elias Anza who took the credit for it, because there was a 2v1 on the counter-attack. Elias Anza, who obviously had a lot of legs after just coming on 20, it would have been 20 minutes earlier, was running through, and he could have shot or passed, and he chose the correct option by passing to Grimaldi, and that was the second goal, and Paderborn won the game 2-0. But I thought, actually, the last 10, 15, 20 minutes, when we were kind of, I mean, it's obviously easy with an extra man advantage, but I thought we were very good in kind of finishing the game off, and the game management and things like that. We haven't been amazing at that this season. You look back to kind of the Dusseldorf away game, where it was very frantic in the last 5-10 minutes of that game. And yeah, I thought we were going to the corner. We were, the game management which you need to do in this league, and you need to do, and that's modern football, isn't it? Going to the corner and wasting the time and doing the right things, for a young group is obviously a big step. And Lucas Kwasniok did mention it in the presser conference about that. And that was a good positive for us. I thought the last 20 minutes were great. I thought we were really, really good. We were more direct. We were obviously, you can look at the earlier parts of the game and think, why didn't we play like that, before? Haven't we had more conviction? We were quicker in the passes. We were really, turning Ulm around side to side, and we deservedly got the win, with a bit of help. But it's 3 points, and second away win in a row for us, which you can't be too disappointed about. And a clean sheet for Marcus Schubert as well, which is great for him. Okay then, it's a win for Paderborn. It's a 2-0 victory against Ulm, and I think we can probably move on to the next match after a short break. I'll see you in a second. Okay, welcome back to the SCP Paderborn Newsletter English podcast. The second part of today's discussion is looking ahead to the match against Münster on Friday, the 14th of February. That is Valentine's Day, by the way, if you celebrate that or not. I will be watching SCP Paderborn 07. I don't know what you'll be doing, but I hope you'll be doing the same as me. But no, I wish everyone a very happy Valentine's Day. To all that celebrate, no matter what your situation is. But look, I'm in love with Paderborn, so I will be watching Paderborn. The game begins at 6:30 in Paderborn, which is 5:30 in the UK, or 12:30 Eastern time on the east coast of America, and 9:30 on the west coast of America. So the American fans and you guys can finally have a game where we're not playing at 4:30 in the morning or 7:30 in the morning, depending on where you are. Yes. So Münster then, a bit of a rival with SCP Paderborn. Geographical, very close to Paderborn in terms of geography and maps. The amazing thing that is maps. But yes, Münster are a team that have a market value of just less than 12 million euros. They've just been promoted. Their head coach is Sascha Hildmann, who's been there since January 2020. And that's before coronavirus. So that's how long he's been there. And he's done his work at Münster. Hildmann has won 2 trophies, actually, with Münster. He's won the Westfalen Pokal, which Paderborn have 9 in 2020/21 season, and he also won the Regional Liga West in 22/23. So yeah, pretty cool what he's done with Münster over the last few years. A very cool story. As much as Paderborn fans rightly don't like them, and Münster don't really like Paderborn, we should recognise that the story of Münster is quite good, and one of those that in German football that are fading away at the moment, you know, with money and finances and difficulties. You know, Munster have done a great job in such a difficult period since coronavirus to now. So I think that should be recognised, and obviously great to be playing them in Paderborn on Friday. So Hildmann's been the coach of Munster for about 5 seasons now. He joined halfway through the 1920 season, which, for kind of context there, that was the season Paderborn were in the Bundesliga. And so he joined halfway through that season. And then they got promotion from the Regional Liga West 3 seasons later in 22/23. And yeah, they had one season in the Dritte Liga, and they got promotion in that season. So it's been a crazy rise, really, for Munster in the last few years, and now they're playing their first Zweite Bundesliga season for a very long time. Currently, Munster are battling the kind of drop zone at the moment, but they're in 15th place with 20 points. They've got a record of 4 wins, 8 draws, and 9 losses over the season. They're 3 points ahead of Ulm in 17th, who are on 17 points. So they've got a bit of a buffer there with SSV Ulm. Sandwiched between them is Eintracht Braunschweig on 18 points. So obviously these games are pretty key for Munster as much as they are key for Paderborn. Both teams are going to be going for the 3 points in this game. On the away side of the table, Munster have 2 wins, 4 draws and 4 losses away from home this season. That's 10 points overall. So 10 points in 10 games for Munster, literally a point per game away from home. And in terms of expected goals, Munster are actually worse off in actual terms than they are expected goals. They are 13th in the XG table. They've conceded more goals than they should have. Their XG against is 27.9. which they've conceded like 30 goals. So obviously they're conceding more than they should, and their expected points overall is 25, which, as I mentioned, they're on 20. So they're underachieving by 5 points overall. But if you look at the actual XG table at the bottom, it's quite a picture actually, because you have Regensburg, Ulm, and Eintracht Braunschweig all underperforming by 5 expected points. So the bottom of the league is actually on less points than they should be, which obviously equates to kind of the middle of the table is overachieving a little bit when you look at teams like, well, not us, because we're actually second in the XG table, but we're on 3 points less than we should be. But if you look at teams like, Kaiserslautern, who are 10 points better than they should be, for example, and things like that, and Magdeburg and Fortuna Düsseldorf, Karlsruhe, also on +5, +3, +3, for example. So yeah, Munster should be pretty much in the middle of the pack, which is an interesting place for them to be. If we look at this kind of statistics, obviously before we get to that, we should mention the previous fixture between Münster and Paderborn, which was played at Münster earlier in the season. It was that crazy 3-3 draw, which was a ridiculous game. Paderborn, found themselves 1-0 down. Joshua Mies with a goal on 19 minutes. Then Bilbia leveled up on 37 minutes. Second half started with a bang. Rafael Obermeier giving us the lead 2-1 on 47 minutes. Then for Johnson with a leveller for Munster on 78 minutes. Ilyas Anza thought he'd give us the victory with a 3-2 goal with 5 minutes to play, but in added time, Munster got a point with Joshua Mies getting his second goal of the game, who scored twice against us. But if we just look at the statistics, we had the better XG by quite some distance in that game, but it was a very enjoyable game to watch. There were 34 shots. Sorry, there were 33 shots over the 90 minutes, and it was a very, very good game to watch. So let's hope it's the same, but let's hope Paderborn can keep a clean sheet and push towards the promotion spots in the league. If we look at the statistics then, Joshua Mies, who got obviously 2 goals against us last time, is their top scorer with 7 goals. And then it's kind of a bit of a drop for Munster in terms of individual goal scorers. We have Lucas Frenket on 3 and Toji Pautau on 3 as well. Assist-wise, Haralambos Makridis is on 3 assists, and then there's Andras Nemeth on 3 assists as well, and goals plus assists. Joshua Mies is first on 7, so he's not actually got any assists this season, which is interesting in that as well. Look at the team statistics then. Munster are a team that don't concede many goals like Ulm last week. They're 6th in goals conceded per match. They concede 1.4 goals per match, which is obviously, as I mentioned, 6th best in the league. 7th best in clean sheets. They've got 5 clean sheets to their name this season. In terms of attacking wise, they're not a good attacking side, although they did score 3 goals against us. Earlier in the season, they are 17th in expected goals, 17th in shots on target per match, 14th in big chances. You could keep going on that. The defense actually, as XG kind of says, it's actually 7th best with 27.9 expected goals conceded over the season. They're not a pressing side, Munster. They're 18th in possession, one in the final third per game with 2.6. So they're not a pressing side, but the goalkeeper isn't actually doing that much. They're kind of middle of the pack for saves per match. They're 12th with 3 saves per match, which is an interesting thing. So yeah, they're a good defensive side, as we kind of know with these kind of teams at the bottom, except for like Regensburg and stuff like that, who give up a lot of chances. Kind of the Ulms and the Munsters, the teams that have come up and stuff, they're actually not a bad defensive unit. They're built on the solidarity of the defense. So it'll be a very interesting game. Paderborn need to get in front in this game. Obviously, there's going to be a good away support from Munster in this game as well, which we should very much mention. Another thing, David Kinsombi won't be able to play in this game because obviously he is on loan from Paderborn. So Kinsombi won't be able to feature in this game for Munster, which I'm sure they'll be pretty disappointed with because I think he's been quite good for them since he's joined. So that's something to look out for as well. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else really. It's going to be a difficult game for Paderborn, but look, if we're being completely truthful, and I'll say the same kind of things that I mentioned for the third home game preview a few weeks ago, that if we want to get promotion in this league, these are the games you've got to target, and these are the games you have to find 3 points in, and anything less would be probably disappointing. I guess if you were looking at the last 3 games, well, including Munster, the last 2 games plus Munster, third home, away at Ulm, Munster at home, those 3 games, you would probably say 7 points out of 9 was a good result. Now 6 isn't that bad. Let's try and get 6 points. I would have probably said, win against Fürth, draw against Ulm, win against Munster would have been my prediction from those 3 sort of mini kind of series of games there. But if you can get 6, that's not bad. That isn't bad. And 6 points would put us to 37 points, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Can we get to the 6 points over the last 3? Because look, the schedule is getting tough after this. No doubt about it. Let me just tell you the next kind of 6 games after this. We've got 1 game where I think we should win quite comfortably. Okay, Munster at home. Hannover 96 away from home, and the top spiel next week. Week after, Hamburg. Week after that is John Regensburg away, which, got to target those games, right? Week after that is Kaiserslautern at home, and then there's an international break, and then there's Köln at home. Not easy. Suddenly you start to look at Ulm, Greuther Fürth, and Munster like, yeah, you've got to probably get 6 out of 9 or 7 out of 9, and look, the best we can do is 6. So let's rack up the points now. Let's get to 6 points. Let's get on to 37 points over the season. And then we can start previewing these really tough games and pivotal games. The games against the Hanovers, the Hamburgs, the Kaiserslautern, the Kerns, they're the ones that are going to determine this season, right? But you've got to get the points to be able to be in the discussion. And these are the sort of games where the points, you should be getting the points from, and other teams in the promotion fight will be getting the points from. For example, Münster gave Hamburg a really tough game in the last week, but Hamburg found a way to win. Kaiserslautern found a way to win in the last 2 games for Münster, but they're a tough team. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Yeah, let's get the points, and let's hopefully be celebrating a victory where Paderborn can then have a bit of momentum going to Hanover next week, which is it's a pretty big game of football, isn't it? But yeah, I think that'll do it for today's episode. We can celebrate a Paderborn victory until Friday, which I suppose the weekend's mood will be determined at 7:30 p.m. on Friday evening. Can we do it? Big game. All the big games now. I'll be saying big game after every preview on the podcast from now on in. But we're still in there. We're still in the conversation. We're very much in the shout, and we need to win this game. We need to get the 3 points, and hopefully we can do that. But yeah, thank you all for listening. I hope you did enjoy, and be back next week. We've got a Saturday game, so it'll be Wednesday, hopefully. Wednesday or Thursday, if Thursday's worst case scenario. But yeah, I mean, the kind of plan for the podcast, actually, before I finish, is if we are very much in with a shout of a promotion, I'll be doing very much 2 podcasts a week, I think is what I'm going to commit to, where we do a full episode preview, full episode review, for example. So there'll be 2 podcasts a week, and it'll be uploaded very much after the game, so get my immediate reaction. But we'll see. Let's wait until like match day 27, 28, to really kind of gauge if we're in this or not. But yeah. Another win for Paderborn. Huge victory for us. We're still in it. All right. Thanks all for listening, and I'll speak to you all next week. Tschüss.